Hey everyone, so I just wanted to talk to you all real quick before we get into the episode. So we recorded this episode the night before the Supreme Court decision came out where they overturned Roe v. Wade, and now the rights of millions of Americans are fundamentally different now than they were yesterday. We just want to let you know that we are mad, we are upset, we are angry, we are scared. And many of you, no doubtedly, are feeling these same emotions. But we just want to make it clear that this is a community where we want to create a safe space, an inclusive space for anyone that may be suffering and in pain and just needs somewhere to vent because of what's going on. I'm going to leave some links in the description to some resources and some information of how you can support and give funding to the resources that need it in these strange times right now. We're not going anywhere, though. We're not going to be silenced. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to get through this together. And I just wanted to make that very clear and make our position very clear on this because we can talk about Star Wars anytime, but these are very important things that we need to talk about, and I just wanted to make it known that you are not alone. We are here for you. We are angry and we are sad with you, and we're going to stick together. I'm very proud of this community and what we've built so far in the few months that we've been doing the show, but we're gonna try to get through this together. So from myself, from Don, from Chloe, from Jake, and from Connor, all of us here at For the Republic, we're going to stick together and we're here for you. Thank you.
You're listening to For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation.
Hello there.
All right, it is time. We are here to discuss the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale here on For the Republic. I can't believe it's here already, but it has been a great road talking about this show. But we have so much to talk about this week for the finale. I am one of your co-hosts, Andrew. I am joined today by the full crew, Jake, Don, Connor, Chloe. How is everyone? We've got an awesome episode to discuss here.
We do. It's yeah, I just can't wait to talk about it.
I'm
There's
hyped.
a lot.
I
There's
haven't
a
talked to
lot.
anybody about it in person yet, so I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am also itching to talk about it. The need to discuss this episode is like an itch. He cannot help it.
Yeah, no, I just...
Rupert!
Where do we start with this episode? Like...
Well, we could go right into Rupert with that
Yeah.
little face that he makes in that one scene where he's like,
Oh, please.
Oh,
yes.
that was hilarious.
Okay.
I didn't notice that because I did watch this episode again last night, which I have not done with any of the other ones yet because I just need to watch it again because I can't stop thinking about it. And I caught
I've watched
that.
it 4 times.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have if I didn't have to do a bunch of other stuff, but yeah, no, we start off and I just got to point out that Don was right on the money about something because last week he said that they're going to start with some kind of like homage to the opening shot of A New Hope. And what do you know? That was one of the first things we see is
It was like a reverse,
the
almost.
ship being chased by the Star Destroyer.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Rather
was the
than
line.
the undershot, it was above. That was sick.
Yeah, like thanks for mentioning that, Andrew. But yeah,
Yeah.
like it literally it is like Jake said, kind of like a reverse with like the overhead shot instead of underneath, and you've got like more of an agile craft, kind of like ducking and weaving. It's just really cool. And then they have like the asteroid chase track from Empire Strikes Back playing whilst Vader's looking on. It's so cool. I just I love that they opened it with
There was a
that.
lot of great. There was a lot of great musical like
Yeah,
callbacks.
They finally,
in
like,
this
because
episode.
people were saying, oh, where is this? And then they finally brought it full circle in the finale. There was a lot of great moments, which I want to get into at some point. But yeah, no, the way they started off was great. And I just, everything about Obi-Wan's kind of like decision that he needs to go on his own to deter Vader away from the path. Like all the build up conversations he had with Roken and with Haja and of course with Leia, all really worked for me, and it made me sad that like this might be the last time we get to see all of these characters in the path. I hope it's not, but
Unless we get a spin-off
yeah.
show about the
But
past.
like I really enjoyed all of their characters. So seeing them like the full circle of with Haja of how Obi-Wan went from not trusting him at all in the second episode to trusting him with Leia's life and making sure that she gets home. And then the
Yep.
Roken convo like all really hit for me.
And
I
then
The
love
look
that
on-
so
especially
much.
the
Yeah.
part of the convo that I really got, and like this will just get into. It's just a really nice little arc that Obi-Wan has in this entire episode when he says, I have to face a master. Whether he dies or I do, this ends today. And it's just like,
Yep.
that's it. That's where we first see his headspace. And then the second part of it is, I will do what I must, which, obvious callback to Revenge of the
Obvious
Sith. But it
callback.
also is like, that gives him some opening to like, depending on how this fight goes and whatever happens, he will do what he must do.
And then that
Which at
moment
that
with
point-
Roken where Roken just straight up is like, you want to do this. You want to face him. It's like Obi-Wan
Yep.
needs
That
this.
whole conversation
this
with
closure.
Roken is great though, too, because like the way that he even describes Roken as like a natural leader and how like there's so few of them left these days. It's like I feel like it just put a really. I know we talked about it in previous episodes. Like it put another like important emphasis on like the non-Jedi characters and the non-Force wielders and just how important they are to like the story of Star Wars as a whole. I really liked that moment. I thought it was really great.
Yeah, I love that he also got to like that Obi-Wan basically got to say to all of the people there on the ship, you have spent 10 years protecting the Jedi. This is my chance to return the favor. It's just a really touching thing that you have this whole group of people who have risked their lives to shelter the Jedi from the Empire, and just to have Obi-Wan basically get to protect them the way that they've protected the Jedi. It's really cool. And like you said, the Roken and the Haja conversations are great. The look on Haja's face when Obi-Wan says, "Oh, your word is good enough for me," and his face just kind of like there's like a level of surprise that goes over his face, and he just kind of like Kumail played that really well.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean,
He
Ewan
was so
McGregor also
perfect.
played
It
well.
literally feels like the character was written for him.
Oh yes, absolutely.
We
Like
need
he
more
just
Kumail in Star Wars, man.
yes,
I-
absolutely.
Seriously. Yeah.
I'm so glad that it like ended up being like a really like good character, because there was a chance he could have been like too much of a comic relief, but they really nailed the balance there. And
Yeah,
he's a this role was made like specifically for him, and it worked so well for me. And another line I want to point out in this convo is when Obi-Wan emphasizes that everyone there is like, you are the future, he says. And of course the
Yep.
camera pans to Leia, but that could mean literally everyone on that ship. Because everyone on that ship has been helping, like we said, helping out the Jedi and Force-sensitive kids for years. And the show has really introduced us to like a really cool like side sector of the rebellion that I hope we get to see develop into something closer to the rebellion that we see in the lead up to A New Hope, because I've really enjoyed these characters. And if we get more like, even if it's in like the books or the comics where it says that like Roken ended up becoming like a leader in the rebellion, that would be really cool to see. I'm just sad that we had to say goodbye to these characters.
It would be really great, though, like you said, to see more literature, like supplementary literature around these projects. Because I remember, like, obviously, like Force Awakens, Rogue One, Last Jedi, Solo, they all had, like, I feel like a ridiculous amount of supplementary material, and we really haven't gotten that since then. It would be really great for them to go back and do
for
that.
Mando, and then they canceled it, which I still
Right.
find weird. And then
they canceled a lot of the Rise of Skywalker stuff, too.
Yeah.
I
I would gladly read a Tala novel, for the record, like just a novel like depicting Tala like going to the defecting to the path and protecting Jedi.
Right, getting
maybe
her
even-
story with those children that she talked about in episode 3.
Can we,
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Can we talk about the holster And
Yes.
Obi-Wan
Yes.
giving Leia the, oh my god.
I saw somebody point out that's actually the same holster that she wears in the Star Wars
comic?
2015 comic run. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my god.
that's one of the two comic references we have. One is
Oh my god, the other one.
at the very end, which I didn't realize until I saw a side by side. I was like, oh.
As soon as I saw the goggles, I was like, are you shitting me?
Yeah, like literally when it ended, I literally I had like a thought that costume's familiar to me, and then I just like grabbed my like omnibus of Jason Aaron's run and like flicked to like the cover page, and I was like, oh my god, they literally pulled from the Journals of Ben Kenobi and the Mythos figure as well. That's just so cool.
I love it.
And
But yeah.
and of course, like Leia getting Tala's holster is just like that actually softened a lot of my disappointment over Tala's death, because it's not just
her legacy lives on. She's
yes,
not like disappearing from the.
She's not instantly forgotten, right?
Yeah, she literally inspired Leia to be the leader that we later see her become, and that's just so cool. And I love it's such a touching moment, and it honors Tala in such a neat way, and it's also just like a really cool reference, because like I hadn't even thought about like the holster thing until like afterwards when Leia was gifted it, and I was like, oh, of course. It's just really good neat storytelling to like use a bit of fan service as like an actual like character moment, rather than
Right,
just
it's
like
the right way to connect to other material rather than just like those sort of lifeless callbacks, like, oh, look at this character, or like, look at this thing, and like they add nothing to the story. It's like, okay, that in itself, Easter egg, like just pointless Easter egg, but like every callback and reference this show made had some sort of purpose.
Yeah, it felt really intentional, like in the right way.
But every moment with Leia and Obi-Wan in this episode like had me on the verge of tears.
Oh, absolutely.
It was so great.
Oh my goodness.
Before we get to the goodbye hug on the ship, even that conversation about Lola, where Leia's like, oh, they want her. I forgot what the line was.
They're scared. She says, "Oh, they're scared." She helps take their minds off it, and incidentally, that's Corran Horn, who she is cheering up with Lola, and that's his mother is like sort of, because she was in the last episode, like Obi-Wan saved her from getting after she was shot by a blaster bolt, and then she also like tries to plead with Obi-Wan not to leave because they're all obviously concerned about him dying. But I just think that's really neat that they've also folded that character in. I mean, that could just be a reference, but you know, given that he talks about the future and stuff, that's just a really neat thing to smuggle in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway,
and then
like
him responding with, I I might need to borrow her too.
Oh,
it was so sweet. And then it led to one of my favorite moments of the episode later, which I'll get into. But then the hug goodbye and him promising that he'll see Leia again. It got me, man. Because at that point I was like, because I wasn't even thinking at that point that he was going to go back to Alderaan. I was like, this is going to be
I did not predict that at all.
Goodbye.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad I was
really
wrong.
thought that was it.
Let me just say that right now. I'm so glad I was wrong, because that last goodbye it's an all-timer right there for me.
Oh, it is.
But when we lead into the duel, oh my god. Should we get into the rematch of the century? Because where do we start with this?
Yeah.
Like
parallels galore.
Okay. Fuck. Okay. So like okay.
That's what we were all thinking watching it.
So like literally the first thing I want to mention is that like apparently, I don't know if it's like this is like true. Like we'll find out hopefully. But like I read some of the leaks like after the episode dropped to see like what was right, what was wrong. And apparently the moon, the planet, the moon that they fight on is like a moon of Mustafar. It's like honestly, metal as fuck. I love that design.
That planet looks so sick.
When I saw that, I was like, literally, like I was eating my breakfast when I was watching like that part of the episode. I literally just like forgot how to chew my food. Like I swear. Like I was just sitting there and I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to be eating. I have to go to work, and like I just was like sitting there frozen.
I
Oh,
love,
they
and I
built
just
such great tension with it though. Like they really did.
they use the
It was so
environment
Yeah.
perfect.
well.
Oh, like that shot
Mhm.
of the moon, like that crescent moon, it just looks so epic. And it also parallels The Last Jedi as well. Like it
Yes.
literally is that
Does.
scene where Luke meets Kylo Ren, but it's flipped. It's literally the
Yep, it's
opposite.
perfectly flipped.
And you have Darth Vader descending the shuttle, and he even starts the duel the same by
Destroying.
saying, "Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan?" And Obi-Wan's response, like, I'd been so thinking about other lines that I hadn't even thought of the "I will do what I must" line. And when he just said it, I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
It's like
Yeah. Yeah, no.
and
Yeah.
like thinking
And
about it, it's like it leaves an opening for Obi-Wan. Because
yeah,
it's like in the moment, right now he's thinking, I gotta kill this guy.
yeah,
But then it's like we see at the end of the fight, like he just doesn't do it. Which we'll
yeah,
get into.
It
That
almost
whole
too like it is meant to obviously be like a reference, but at the same time, like in universe it works because it
Yeah.
almost
yeah,
feels like a way for Obi-Wan to try to get Anakin pissed off and riled up because the last time he stood that he got his ass kicked.
Well,
exactly.
even
Yeah,
Vader's response was a reference to the Ahsoka duel in Rebels. The "then you
Yep,
will
Mhm.
die,"
yeah,
Die.
you will
and then
die.
it
And then
just
like just
goes
dude, the
into
choreography
the
for this
coolest duel I've
duel.
seen in my life.
oh my god, it was
This
so good.
might be my favorite. Okay, like Jake, where does this rank for you? Because I remember you said last week's duel with Reva and Vader was your favorite. Like, how about this one?
What I really need to do is I need to watch the two back to back. But I mean, oh fuck, they're fighting for 1 and 2. Like honestly, like they both were so good, and just like the thing that I liked about this one so much, especially, is that like the sky, like it had that cool, like it like fades from like like purplish to green to red almost, but it's still very very dark. So almost the entirety of the light sources for this entire fight were from the lightsabers alone. That was sick.
It
That
really
added
I
was.
love
so
that.
much to
I
this fight.
love that so
Mhm.
much.
Yeah,
And they
like
really used it for like a storytelling purpose too. Like when
Yeah.
obviously when like the mask gets cracked open, you can see like Vader's shadows are going from red to blue to purple to red to blue and then back and forth. And then finally when he has that like full moment of dark side, it's like his face is just flooded in the red and you see that the yellow has returned to his eyes, and it's just that's like the craziest
It's
use
literally the best. I
of
think it's the
lightsaber
best.
lighting.
Uh,
It was so cool.
it's
like
the best use of lighting I think in any new Star Wars story.
bar
Like,
none.
ever.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
Uh,
Deborah Chow, man, like
the
round of
way that they've
applause.
emphasized how the lightsaber light just takes up the entire screen, especially in this show, and
Hmm.
bathes the entire like picture in like that light, has really benefited the show, and that led to that great moment, obviously. But there's so much that we can start with.
Yeah,
A great Vader
Vader
line
just
again was,
absolutely.
your strength has returned, but your weakness still
Yep.
remains, as he
yeah,
chucks
Oh, the way he
the
just
rocks
yeets
at
that
him.
rock.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's like
I
a scary moment. That is because like
It
literally
was, yeah.
we were just starting to feel like, oh, Obi-Wan's on like even ground here because he like forces Vader back, and Vader's like, nah, I gotta prove myself again, and then he just like yeets the rock away, and then does like a freaking ground pound move that like just breaks apart the earth. That I was like, whoa, when I watched
Like,
that. That was
right, and
okay.
even
incredible.
though
Yikes.
Obi-Wan is more powerful now, Vader was still scary as fuck in this
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Obi-Wan
Absolutely.
does, yeah, when Obi-Wan does like the Dark Souls roll out of the way, and Vader just like, comes like charging into the frame, it's like what? It's like,
And then like
And then when he gets buried in the rocks, the did you really think you could defeat me? Like,
Master, and then it's
Honestly,
like
when
this
they
man
did
had
that,
high ground.
yeah,
yeah,
when they did that, when
Vader's
they
got
did
the
that
high
low
ground.
shot on Vader, I was like, Vader's gonna make a high ground reference, isn't he? And he did
yeah.
I
not
knew
that. He
it,
didn't. That would have
yeah.
been goofy as hell. But
Anakin is so petty. He is such a petty dude. I also have to mention because we kind of skipped over that. It was the moment that I knew this duel was going to be good was when Obi-Wan immediately snapped into that Soresu stance from the Clone Wars in Episode 3. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
was so excited.
I've been waiting for him to do that pose the whole series, and then he just like Ewan just snapped into it perfectly, and the music just kind of like lifted, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be
And
good.
that's all I've been thinking about is that, like, the beginning of the duel. I was like, all right, let me I got the saber. I was like, all right, let me perfect this.
And he even does a
I need to
Kylo
see
Ren
that.
pose. He does a Kylo Ren pose as well. Like, you know, when Kylo Ren points the saber
Like down.
ahead. Yeah, like,
Or-
like
yeah,
literally, just before it cuts back to Reva on Tatooine, he does that exact move, and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Was it just me, or did y'all almost hear like the crackle of Kylo's lightsaber as the shot got closer to Ben's?
I literally heard that.
I
It
didn't,
sounded
Need to
crackly.
rewatch
but
it.
I will
didn't
have
even
to
hear that.
rewatch that one. Yeah, I know he
Yeah,
like does the
It's
thing.
just like a split second, but I almost feel like you hear the like of like Kylo's saber.
I know we do. He does
Definitely.
something that they did in the Maul duel in Rebels again, was where he started with the prequel pose and then he went more into the like the Alec Guinness way of holding the saber, which you pointed out that Ewan has done such a great way of like incorporating bits and pieces of like Alec Guinness's like vocal mannerisms in this series, and again it's a perfect bridge between episode 3 and 4. And perfect bridge for this character.
Absolutely.
But when
It really is, especially when you listen to like lines that he said in the prequels versus how he said them now, or like lines that
Yeah.
Alex said in the originals versus how Ewan said them now. It like
and you know, at
it
first
really
I thought that
stands
was
out
just
just how much work he put into that.
I thought it was just Ewan getting older, but no, it meant so much more. Like
Yeah,
the amount of
you just know
dedication that was put into this series. Like when people are like, oh, Ewan wouldn't, like, it's like he was an executive producer on this show for a reason. He obviously had like a lot of input into specific aspects of his characterization. But when he was under the rocks, this is where I thought we were gonna get the Qui-Gon appearance.
Me too.
Uh,
Yeah.
I thought it best of voice.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I thought,
Yeah, I really wasn't gonna sure we were gonna see him in full.
yeah, exactly. Because like when
I was like, where is it? I was like, we're getting we'll get to it, but like near the end, I was like, we haven't seen Qui-Gon.
I was
We'll
getting
get
like
to
that too.
yeah, I was like, are they not?
But I love how
don't-
just the memories of him, like at first it goes to Anakin being all like, bitchy and everything. And
Yeah,
like,
like-
sort of all the rage of Anakin sort of tries to break Obi-Wan's resolve, but then like he reflects on the children, especially the journey he's had with Leia, and that's able to provide him some strength to just fucking just yeet all the
all of them.
rocks.
he had a Spider-Man moment. He had that like classic
Dude,
Spider-Man moment.
literally what I thought, like Spider-Man
Yeah.
Homecoming.
Yeah, and like the Master Planner story from the comics where he's like buried under the rubble and he just finds the resolve to like push his way out of there. It's really cool. That whole sequence is like a metaphor for Obi-Wan's arc throughout the story because you just hear you hear all the lines from Vader and Anakin just like pressuring, building the pressure as he like gets surrounded by darkness, and then all the audio just drops out and he just thinks about Luke and Leia, and then literally just before he like like you said, just yeets all the rocks away, there's like a light that pours in from outside, and it's like it's such a clever moment because it's like, yeah, he turned on the light, he actually he found the light, the hope for the future, and that gives him the resolve to like push his way out of there. And he's just like, I love that he just like leaps up out of the rocks as well. He's like, yeah, I got to finish this. Like, no, I'm not letting Vader end it this way. And it's
that's
just like,
he looked
another-
so rejuvenated after that.
oh yeah,
Another
Fucking-
reference to that convo that Leia and Obi-Wan had in episode 3 about the Force, the turning on the light thing.
Yep.
it's just such a great payoff. Like literally, they spend all the time just crafting all of these different setups, and just to have the emotional payoff with Obi-Wan finding the resolve in himself. And I get why they didn't go for a Qui-Gon voiceover there, because Obi-Wan finding the resolve within himself after going through this journey with Leia and being reminded of how important her and Luke are, it really kind of like it's actually more moving that he found that within himself without needing a pep talk from his old master.
Yeah, and
It's
it's more emphasis on the future, not the
yes,
past,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
the future. And again, it's like the Qui-Gon would have been cool, but this story has been about Obi-Wan's relationship with Leia and protecting Luke. And I think we'll get into all the Luke stuff at once we finish up this Kenobi stuff. But yeah, no, it was a really powerful moment, and then it led to Obi-Wan
body
going
invader.
insane.
Like, fucking,
I'm s-
like, the rocks thing is cool. I definitely found that a little odd, just the way it was framed. The thing I can't get over is the fucking fact that, like, during the end of the fight, fucking Obi-Wan just uses his actual lightsaber to help and just fucking jams it.
Oh, that
Like,
was
Yeah,
yeah.
he just
So
smashes the
cool.
shit out of his chest box.
I just,
Oh,
what
Oh,
the
that
fuck?
wasn't like he went a little insane there. It was
Yeah.
a little dark side of him, and I enjoyed
that
it
was
a little too much.
I was like,
And the way
we've
the
never
music
seen-
was
I mean,
swelling too, when you had
Yeah.
Vader's like Return of the Jedi like wheezing, breathing noises, that
Oh,
was
every
dark.
time they use that sound, I start losing it. It's
yeah, I like the tears like started coming to my
was
eyes when I heard
shocked.
that
I'm
because I
just
was like,
like,
oh,
I think I said it.
so cool.
I think I said it last episode, but like I was just like, this has to end in a draw of some sorts, or just like I didn't think
No.
Obi-Wan would
Nah.
beat Vader.
I knew it.
I knew it.
knew it.
But
I
like,
know
it
it.
makes so much sense because like any other Jedi, Vader would body, but like this is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
This
Like
is
this
Obi-Wan
man knows
Kenobi.
this man knows Vader.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he
And-
knows Anakin inside and out, and he knows how to get inside his head.
It's
Yeah. It's
and then the
so
math
good.
thing.
But yeah,
Okay.
first of all,
I
that
can say-
slice of
okay,
his helmet.
I'll
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'll say this because now that the show's out, I passed it off as a prediction. I actually accidentally read a leak from it like a while ago, and I'm like, all right, don't know if that's ever gonna happen, but if it does, that'd be cool. And then it did. I was like, fuck.
It was literally while I was rewatching Rebels, and I got to because I think I started watching
Both
Rebels
sides of the map.
during I started
Both
watching Rebels
sides.
around the time that the Obi-Wan show had been announced. I think it was around that time, and then after hearing about the Obi-Wan show and getting to Twilight of the Apprentice, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Obi-Wan did this? And I was just like, that was one of my main reasons. That and the line.
Actually, I saw a tweet about it. Like somebody said it. I don't know who it was. I don't remember, but I saw a tweet that was saying essentially that, and it kind of stuck with me. And I was like, I wonder if they would do that.
I just had a feeling that it was gonna happen because if they were gonna bring Hayden back, obviously,
Yeah.
the flashbacks. But I'm like, they're just not gonna bring him back to be under the suit the whole time. Like, there's gonna be some moment like that, and it always was like, okay, they're gonna do this in live action. And it didn't feel like a cheap duplication, I'll just say that, because holy shit, everything in this scene.
I'll go so far as to say that it's better. I think it's better than the Rebels scene.
I don't want to compare them because I think they're
Honestly,
That's what I said.
Nah,
Me,
I
Connor,
mean-
and Don were in a voice chat last night, and I even said I'm afraid to say it because I feel like people will like fight me over that. But I thought it was much better than the Rebel scene.
I can't say it.
Honestly,
I can't say it yet.
give it some time because I think I agree the most. I think I agree too because like I think what helps is that like it's fucking
It's
Hayden.
Hayden. Yeah.
It's Hayden
Mhm.
Ewan.
The conversation was longer.
Yeah.
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 It-
We only get a couple of lines in Rebels because Vader almost immediately reasserts over Anakin in that
Yeah.
scene.
To
whereas-
be fair, Rebels also had to handle like the Kanan and Ezra stuff
yeah.
on top of
Absolutely,
that,
And,
so
I
they
mean-
couldn't put the whole focus on that fight.
It's
But-
I don't think we're discrediting that scene at all.
Not
Like
at
it is
all.
No, because if
I'm
that
saying they
scene
built
didn't
on it in the
exist,
best
I
way.
don't think that this one would either.
no. And like I
Yeah.
Can't Leave You Not This Time is an all-time like
Oh, yeah.
quote.
Oh,
And
sure.
I am no
But-
Jedi.
I am no Jedi, of course.
Revenge is not the Jedi
Definitely.
way.
Yeah.
But like this
but-
is
I mean, Obi-Wan immediately just the Anakin and then breaking down.
Oh,
Just
When
what?
Hayden
oh my god.
when
And
Hayden just like
Oh, man.
stood up and said, "Anakin is gone. I am what
I am what
remains," and they,
Remains.
they
first of all,
perfectly
the
transitioned.
mixing between Hayden and James
Dude.
Earl Jones.
Yeah,
Oh my
Yes.
god, I
it's
know.
so good. It's so freaking good. It's amazing. I love that they made the choice to have the voices transition into each other rather than playing at the same time like they did with Rebels. I just think that was such a really cool
Yeah.
effect.
Especially
Because
it's like you didn't kill Anakin Sky. Like just the way that line is said, where
Yeah,
like even
I
like
did
mid
with the
word.
fucking smirk.
Oh my god,
It's like
that's
that right
Oh my
there
God,
cemented.
yes.
It's like Vader is
The
the
little
greatest villain
smirk
of all time.
in Hayden's eyes, the way that
Yeah.
like it just like the way his brow flickers back from like annoyance to anger to like almost satisfaction when he says that he was the one that killed Anakin.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like it's probably one of the like creepiest images in all of Star Wars because it's such an intense stare, and you're like, oh,
Oh, it's
oh,
one
good,
of the
like,
creepiest,
hold
and
on.
it's one of the most emotional breaking
Oh,
scenes.
for
And it's
sure.
probably one of Hayden's best performances in a scene in his career in Star Wars. And again, I know people have to shit on his acting performance. I've always championed that I think that his performance in Revenge of the Sith, especially, is one of, if not the best performances in Star Wars. But like that was crazy of him to be able to put that much visual storytelling into like a third of his face.
Well,
It was
Yeah.
Hayden
crazy.
has always been an incredible visual storyteller. Like his
Yeah.
facial expressions and his body language have always been, even back in the day where I was like, I don't know how I feel about him in Attack of the Clones, when I was going through that phase. Like he's always been a great visual actor, but his performance in this show has been fantastic.
So okay, so like when I watched this at like 3 a.m., I had literally just surprisingly I did not cry. I was just in awe.
I
The
bawled
entire-
my eyes out for like half
I
the
was
episode the
like,
first time
this-
I watched
this-
it.
I was more shocked. Like I
Yep.
was in the
Just like,
process
this
of
is
tearing
real.
up, but I didn't go full tears until one specific moment.
Oh,
The
I
sec-
know what moment. I
the-
know what moment.
The second
Yep.
viewing though, oh, there were tears.
Yeah.
There were
Like-
tears.
This is
I cried a
The
bit
thing
the
I love
first
about
time. I
this-
cried even more the second
Because
time. I was just like,
it's very
fuck it.
weird. I've always said this. Star Wars gets me emotionally more than any other franchise for the most part, but I very rarely cry watching it. Kanan in
Yeah.
Rebels is the only one, and Luke in 8 because I just wasn't expecting it and it got me.
The
in
first
the theater.
6 times I saw Last Jedi in theaters, I cried when Luke died.
Yeah,
6 fucking times.
But this one is just the emotional highlights and like strong points in this episode are off the
It's
charts. And
It's
Ewan tearing up and saying, "I'm
Dude.
sorry, Anakin."
for all
for
of it.
all
Dude,
of
his
it.
delivery of
I
for
I
all
think
of it gets me.
I think that might be Ewan's best scene as Obi-Wan in the entire franchise,
Yeah.
Oh,
acting
Mhm.
wise.
oh,
The
fuck,
man
this-
is a presence unlike
Give-
any
It's such a
other.
difference from the whole "I have failed you, Anakin" in
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. Like
This is
it just really
10
shows like
years of
the different
weight.
level he's on now too.
Yeah.
Like, this is the Obi-Wan once thought as you do conversation.
And
This
it's
is-
ju-
Mhm.
at this moment, he still thinks that he's the reason Anakin became Vader.
Exactly.
That's the thing I love. Like, we literally go through a whole fucking arc in this entire conversation because, like, Obi-Wan still feels guilty about making Anakin what he is, but, like, oddly enough, Vader gives him the closure he's needed.
Yeah.
And, like,
I thought that
as
was
soon as-
wild.
That's why he's able to just leave him.
And, like,
Yeah.
it's unintentional, too, I feel
Yeah.
like. I feel like it's
Yeah, 'cause
Vader just trying to want to give himself the credit of killing Obi-Wan's own apprentice.
Yeah, because
I am not your
It's really like
failure,
that.
Obi-Wan.
that's such a good line. There's so many layers to that as well. Because you could argue,
I'm
because
sorry
Especially
for all
because
of it.
Anakin always saw himself as so powerful and always
Yeah.
wanting more and more power. So the fact that Vader is now claiming the right of being the one to kill Anakin, again, I know they're the same character, but still, it's like he's putting himself on this pedestal as he can barely walk, and his
Yeah.
old master who just bested him
and he's
just
still
leaves
like,
him.
I will destroy you.
Well,
And-
because it's interesting, isn't it? Because we started the first time they meet, Vader tells Obi-Wan, "I am what you made me." So he puts the blame on Obi-Wan in that scene because he is yet to see Obi-Wan's like full sorrow and pain that he feels over what happened to Anakin, and it's only kind of like when Vader has been humbled by his master that Obi-Wan tells him how sorry he is for everything that happened, that Anakin is like, no, I will not be someone else's failure. He doesn't want to be like someone else's like weakness. Because like Anakin's whole thing, like Anakin has a whole arc throughout the prequels of like not wanting to be a slave to other people. Like he starts most of his life as a slave, then he goes to the Jedi Order and he starts to feel like a slave there. You know, there's the whole struggle about whether he's a slave to his emotions and like all of that stuff. It's just so the idea that like Obi-Wan is telling him sorry. He's like, no, I am the master of my own story. I decide what happens to Anakin or Vader, and he just makes that claim, thinking that he's sticking the knife in to Obi-Wan, and in actuality, he's actually kind of going, no, it wasn't you. I made my own decisions.
You involved your own master of his own.
Exactly.
Like, here's the thing I love. The thing I just love about this whole conversation, and I've probably said it before earlier on this episode, but I've also said it like just online. I really personally didn't expect it to be like as nuanced and full of subtlety as it was, and I think I talked with Jake in a voice chat a few days ago about it, or yesterday, and just like he said that if they even tried to write, Jake himself, he said that he felt if they tried to write more of that conversation, it would have just felt like retreading old ground, and like that this was like the perfect balance of what it needed to be. Because like, I'm sorry for all of it literally sums up the entire prequels from Obi-Wan's perspective. And like, I don't know about y'all, how much you want to bet there's a small part of him that he's like, that Obi-Wan's like, I'm sorry I didn't finish the job on Mustafar.
A little bit, I would say, because like
Yeah.
it must kill him to see what Anakin has become, like, you know, just shoved into this like
He took
awful
all his
suit.
choices away. Like, just like Seer says to Trilla in Fallen Order, I'm sorry that all the choices I made took all your choices away. That's literally Obi-Wan and Anakin in this moment, too.
Well, and I feel
Pretty
like
much,
up until the slicing of the helmet, that Obi-Wan's mindset was still, I might have to kill him here. So
Yeah, the look on his
No,
face
I
definitely
agree.
communicates that for sure.
Like,
Yeah,
that is the moment. Like, the slicing of the helmet is the opening of it's the very thin opening of Anakin's humanity.
yeah, and
Until he
that's what I was
closes
gonna
it again
say.
himself.
and then he,
You can
said, I killed Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, because Obi-Wan hasn't
Exactly.
actually seen Anakin. It's only been Vader. So for him to actually see
Right.
Anakin's face under the mask for the first time, that I feel like was almost his full moment of realization of who he was actually fighting. And I feel like specifically that's why he was able to just leave
and then
instead of killing him.
Then my friend is truly dead, which again is another parallel
Reference
to Luke.
Yeah,
Return
Luke.
And then the goodbye Darth got me.
Oh,
I wasn't
wow.
expecting that. That was really
That's
cool.
more just salt in the wound too, because I know that is technically a callback to A New Hope, but it's like he doesn't even give him the satisfaction of referring to him as Vader. He's nothing more than Darth. Like, I saw someone on Twitter say that like him calling him that was just him basically saying that he's just another pawn of the Sith, which I know, like Don just said, a lot of Anakin's arc in the prequels is him trying to escape that feeling of being a slave, and so Obi-Wan calling him Darth there, I just feel like is almost doing just that, and like diminishing him to being nothing more than like a foot soldier of the Sith, basically.
Yeah, it's like Anakin wanted
that is
power,
a perfect
and
description.
the power he has isn't even real power because he's still under Palpatine's thumb this whole time. which
Yep,
we
because then we see that.
later in the
Then
show.
we see that. Palpatine's
I
just
gotta
like,
shout
you
out.
gotta stop chasing this bitch ass Obi-Wan
And
guy.
he's like, all right, yep.
Like he's like, okay, I'm sorry.
Literally manipulates him, and Vader. What is
Like,
Vader's
you're not
last
becoming
line?
weak, are you?
I serve only you.
I only serve you, my master.
I serve only you,
Dude,
my
this
master.
man,
Exactly.
dude, this man has an iron grip on Vader.
Yeah.
Iron grip. I also need to point out this thought from someone on Twitter, at Flying Grace Sun. He said, I also have this idea that he knew he'd never get a kill or be killed fight from Obi-Wan as long as he was feeling guilt over Anakin. He was trying to bring Obi-Wan down to his level of anger, and it had the exact opposite effect.
Ooh.
Like,
exactly. Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I saw that tweet. It is absolutely right. Yeah.
I just find it so fast. I don't know what your guys' reaction were. Like, the second the fight ended and Obi-Wan just walked away. I just found it freaking interesting that he just walked away. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all thought, like, in some way, shape, or form, he would have to fake his death.
Yes. We've been saying that on the SWE server for ages, haven't we? That he has to fake his death because there's that line in Rebels where, like, Palpatine says, he seems to be skeptical of whether Obi-Wan is even alive, but Vader is, like, super sure. And I was kind of like, oh, well, yeah, he's got to, like, fake his death, and everyone else thinks he's dead apart from Vader. But no, he just straight up walked away from that duel.
Well, that's what's super interesting, though, is because people are saying people are saying that it retcons the way that Revenge of the Sith left off. It left off exactly the fucking same as Revenge of the Sith.
Exactly.
So it didn't change shit.
Yeah. Exactly. And also it also actually lines up really well with Vader saying to Obi-Wan, when I left you, I was but the learner. Because, the last episode kind of confirmed that because it showed how Anakin still hasn't learned the lessons that Obi-Wan was trying to teach him. And then we see that even more here. Yeah, yes, especially with the rocks, because the rocks thing is awesome. I literally gasped when he lifted the rocks and just pelted Vader with them all. But it's also like, it really is like, it's like the Attack of the Clones moment when Dooku tries to attack Yoda with the Force lightning, and Yoda just blocks it and says, "Much to learn you still have." That is Obi-Wan's "You still have much to learn, my young apprentice" moment.
Right, because it's literally a callback to a couple minutes prior when Vader eats the rock, thinking he was such a badass for that. And even we, as fans, like we just said a couple minutes ago, we were like, "Holy shit!" And then literally Obi-Wan is just chucking these massive hunks of rock at him like they're nothing.
I swear, Deborah Chow.
The writing in this show is just incredible.
I swear, Deborah Chow and Joby Harold are like secret Rey Kenobi believers, because that was such a clear parallel with Rey lifting the rocks. It was. It's like even the framing of it was just like so similar, and I'm like, oh, it's such a shame that that's like, it would be such a cool I saw a tweet that someone did yesterday saying, oh, if they'd only gone with Rey Kenobi, this would have been an epic parallel. I mean, it still is. But
it still is, because it shows two, like, it's a great culmination of both of their story arcs throughout their like that story in the movie and the series, of getting to see them at their full power after they've gone over their obstacles and seeing them lifting the rocks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Vader's scream when Obi-Wan leaves.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I the first thing was, okay, this is Matt Lanner right here. Like, it just sounded like Clone Wars Anakin at this very moment. But again, I think this might be the best use of them blending Hayden and James Earl Jones's voice, was this scream, because it hurt. It's like, because he's still like, he can't like get Kenobi off the brain. It's just haunting.
And his rage is just laid bare.
It's almost kind of pathetic too, because again, like, he can barely stand up and he can't fight, and he's still screaming at Obi-Wan to like get back here and keep fighting him.
Obi-Wan has already left the planet.
It's his Black Knight moment from.
Like, there's a
but a scratch.
But a flesh wound.
A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't.
it's probably like 2 and 1. 2 screams. It's like one. I feel like one scream you could see as like Obi-Wan, as like Anakin still breaking through, just barely,
Just a little bit.
where he's like, "Bruh, save me." And
Yeah.
then the other
Yeah,
scream,
It's on
that
tone.
first scream felt very much like it felt almost like prequel Anakin in a way, and then the second one like just
Was
felt like more where Anakin would be at this point in time, 10 years later, filled
Yeah,
with all
it's
like
like
the rage,
she-
and then you had a lot more of the like actual Vader voice modulator mixed in with it.
yeah.
It was
I just
almost like the
like,
Vader voice was taking over the Anakin voice.
Yeah,
yeah,
like I
Yeah.
was gonna say as well, like it really feels like that's why the "you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did" line has so many layers, because you could say that, like we've said, that it's, you know, Vader trying to stick the knife into Obi-Wan, but you could almost argue that that is in just that brief moment, especially because of the lighting. It's Anakin like just re-emerging for a moment, just seeing the light and giving his old master that closure, just saying, "No, no, it wasn't your fault."
yeah. I feel
Almost
like
kind
I
of,
am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You could say
yeah,
Because
it's both
too,
Anakin
like if you
and
go
Vader.
back and you watch like Revenge of the Sith, especially the stuff on Mustafar when Anakin's talking to Padme, he does like fluctuate like the tones in his voice and his speech patterns, and it shifts from what we see Anakin talking like the way he talks throughout the prequels, and then he has more of like the speech patterns of like James Earl Jones in the original trilogy. And so to me, I've always felt like that was like Anakin and Vader going back and forth and like this constant struggle for power. Whereas like this felt the same in this fight, is
yeah,
it very much felt like it was a back and forth between like Anakin and like then Vader, and like Vader was the one saying he killed
yes.
Anakin.
Yeah, and so like now it's like it even softens the lie that Obi-Wan will later tell to Luke, because it's like, you know, it's like he's
Vader
literally just
betrayed and
telling you.
murdered your father. It's
It's like
technically kind of true because
Yeah.
Yeah.
he said that,
So
like he's told
someone
He
Obi-Wan.
said,
someone posted the "No, I am your father" scene, like and they highlighted the "He told me you
I
killed
saw
him,"
that.
which this episode, it's I'll never be able to watch those movies again the same way.
Just I find it so fascinating that Obi-Wan left just Vader just a lot, like just left him, like Jake said, because it's like you could argue the whole like moral quandary of like he should have killed him, he didn't have to kill him all day. Like you could just go in circles just all day with that. But like Jake said on Twitter, like this is definitely one of the most Jedi things that Obi-Wan did. This is a culmination of his entire arc. Like if you
Yes.
put episode 1 Obi-Wan in this situation, okay, he would have gotten his ass kicked. But also, if he got the chance, he would have killed Vader. But, like, it's just he had the chance to do it. Like,
Yeah.
to kill, and even though I just get the sense that like even though like he says like my friend is truly dead, like his brother is truly dead, and there's nothing left but a husk of a man in a coffin of his own mistakes and regret. He just can't bring himself down to that level.
That's the only
To
way I
do
think
it.
that line could have hit more, is if he said that my brother is truly dead instead of my friend. I thought about that on my second viewing, but
Yeah.
it still hit. But as Obi-Wan is leaving, and then we can cut back to what we've seen before, he senses Luke's danger in the Force. So let's move on to Reva's story here in this
See,
episode.
I was gonna like
Bro,
transition like to that by saying that, you know, we were just saying about Obi-Wan's mercy that he shows, and that's the thing.
More
His
talk of the
decision
future.
reverberates into what happens with Reva and how her story concludes, which, can I just say, I am both relieved at how Reva's story panned out, and I'm fascinated by where they're going to go next with this, because it doesn't. Of all the stuff in the series, and I feel like there's a lot, actually. There's a surprising amount of leeway for them to continue a lot of the stories here. That's the one that feels the most open ended in the best way.
Yeah,
Yeah, they could literally go anywhere with Reva.
let me just
yeah,
say,
because like that was
I
also the
am
one thing that got that apparently so like this was also one of the things that they said in the lakes. Apparently there was a scene where like Reva goes back to like Vader, tells her that she killed Obi-Wan, and like Vader's like bullshit and kills her. So like I'm happy that didn't happen. Dude, I'm just so happy she's not dead,
I'm
bro.
so glad. Let me just say, yeah,
so
that
glad.
is the one thing, is that we got redemption and she got to live, which
I
means
was
that
so excited.
we get to see like post redemption Reva hopefully at some point.
Like
Her
what a character to have it
yeah,
happen to.
I
Like
know.
Moses Ingram just deserves that.
Moses Ingram,
Yeah.
I think we all just got to say right here, like, so good. Everything
She was
that she brings.
fantastic.
Her
Like when
scene with Obi-Wan might be
Oh
my
my God.
favorite scene that she's done.
It's so
Like,
yeah,
the
when she
Ron-
She's easily one of my favorite characters added to Star Wars in the last however long it's been since Disney acquired the franchise, like 8 years. She's so good.
yeah, like
no.
she when she just collapsed, when she just like fell to her knees and just started crying, and just all the grief and the trauma of what she had gone through just like came out of her. She just nailed it perfectly. And I just that whole scene, like you said, Connor, like it's one of your favorite scenes. Definitely one of my favorite scenes in the whole series, because I love the whole sequence because it just refutes, it just spits in the face of what the Grand Inquisitor said at the start of like, oh, Jedi's compassion is their undoing. And it's like, no, compassion is
and
the making
mercy
of a
doesn't
Jedi.
defeat an enemy, master, but it
And that
saves
too. That too, it saves, it doesn't defeat an enemy necessarily, but it saves the enemy. And that's what it saves them from themselves. And that's Obi-Wan's mercy towards Reva in that sequence, and him telling her that, by showing mercy, you've honored those that you lost. It's so moving, and it's just so nice to see Obi-Wan basically help redeem an Inquisitor. It's just so cool because, like, literally
It
the
gives
way
him
the scene
consolation.
goes, yeah, exactly.
Couldn't
That's why it
save
was in,
his own brother,
yeah,
but he saves an Inquisitor. Like that's
yeah,
just
'cause
so cool, man.
it's so cool, and it's like, I lost my train of thought, but it's like, yeah, the way the scene goes, the way the language of the scene goes, like Obi-Wan, it's not until Obi-Wan has offered her this consolation, this compassion, these words of comfort, basically telling her, no, you won't, you have not become like Vader. You have chosen, you have made the choice to not continue the cycle.
Oh,
That
that
she
was
throws down
beautiful.
the lights. Yeah, and she throws down the lightsaber after that. She just drops the Inquisitor saber, basically renouncing the dark side at that moment, and
Reva,
in part because of Obi-Wan. It's just so
purify it.
cool. It, yeah, when she was like hobbling into the Lars homestead, that
Yeah.
was unnerving
Also,
for sure.
someone pointed out that like the framing of her with Luke is just like Anakin with Shmi.
Yep, it
Yes.
looked exactly like that.
Yeah.
I was just like, fuck me, this is killing me, man.
Oh,
But another thing that this scene and this section of the episode did is it really, like, made me appreciate Owen and Beru so much more.
Bro,
The
Baru,
lengths
Yeah.
they will go to
Oh
defend
my
Luke.
gosh,
Baru's a
yeah.
hard ass.
Beru, that Owen's "he is my own" line got me
that was great.
because Owen's been such a hard ass this whole series, and seeing that one just showing how much he cares about Luke. Beru.
I also love the when Ben says no, when not when Owen says Ben is gone, and then Baru just automatically responds with "Whose fault is that?" And I'm like,
Oh,
Jesus.
you tell him.
shit.
I love Baru for that line. That was such a great like response. Like, yeah, Baru is just awesome in this whole sequence. I'm glad we got
I'm
to see
glad
more
that
of her.
she got to do have some time to shine here, because it was just Owen when we saw them the first time, and Beru showed up in like the background. But this was so great. But then them defending and them actually putting up a fight against Reva was really cool to see.
Insane.
Yeah,
And then
because
when
like
yeah.
obviously Reva is weakened from like her duel with Vader, but she's still an Inquisitor. She's still like really formidable, and the fact that like Owen and Beru put up a real fight, it's really cool to see. It's cool to be in the Lars homestead as well. I got a little giddy like seeing it all just like perfectly recreated there. That was just
I
really
just
cool.
built the Lars Homestead kitchen on stream the other night. The Lego
Oh,
set.
did you?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
was
watched
like,
some of that. That was fun.
yeah, that
That's
was
so
Correct
cool.
me if I'm wrong, Luke never sees the saber ignited.
No, he doesn't. He's already climbing out of the garage area
Because
when
I
Reva
thought there was
comes
a
in.
moment, but then I realized on my second watch that he got knocked out before
Well,
Reva
Yeah.
ignited the saber.
What's really funny is that Book of Boba Fett has kind of accounted for like the story they tell Luke, because he said Owen lies that it's like Tusken Raiders raiding farms, and we see in like the Book of Boba Fett we've got like Tusken warriors who have similar garb to what Reva is wearing, so it kind of it lines up with that. And
Yeah.
so like Luke would have just thought when he saw her running after him that was just a Tusken warrior chasing him, because she doesn't ignite her lightsaber until he's unconscious.
It's like
So
poetry, it rhymes.
I mean, as far
Exactly.
as we know, he never even sees that she has a lightsaber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, because it's a really clever way how they thread the needle and they don't like kind of mess with the canon of Luke's story. Because the thing is, Luke's story doesn't really begin properly until A New Hope. That's his origin. Whereas like Obi-Wan Kenobi is like the origin of characters like Leia. Really, like as I would argue, Obi-Wan Kenobi is an origin story for Leia, because we see where she gets like her desire to be more of a ruler, as we'll get into anyway. But like, yeah, the whole sequence is just
icon?
like,
Yes.
yes, exactly.
But again, when we see Reva about to go for the kill, and it flashes, and Luke is replaced by youngling Reva, and then we get the flashes of Order 66
Yeah.
again. Oh my God, what a way to do a crisis of faith moment and lead to her redemption. Now is a perfect time to shout out that picture of Hayden with all of the clone troopers that's been going around.
Yeah.
That's such a cool,
it's such a great behind the scenes picture. I've literally seen it like 15 times on my
Yeah.
Twitter feed the past day.
Sorry. I was
It's
one of them.
No, I was one of them too. Don't worry.
Oh
But
my
getting
goodness.
to
It's-
see like Hayden again, and just the
Reva.
looks that he shoots Reva, it's like this man is like, we really get to see like villain era Vader so many times in this episode, and then her bringing him back to the Lars homestead. I have so many good things to say about this scene, and it leaves it so open ended. It's like what you choose to do now is up to you, and
We're both free.
yeah, we're both
or
free.
whatever it is. Yeah.
It's such a great moment.
exactly that. Yeah.
And we just leave her on Tatooine, so we don't know what she does next, because that's the last we see of her in this episode.
Survivor, I hope.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
hope.
highly doubt that this is the
Yeah, I
last
doubt
time
it
we'll
too,
see
because like, I know that I'm pretty sure Survivor was also, at least the story was filmed in California, and like
Oh, I wasn't saying I highly doubt Reva's gonna be in the game. I was saying I highly doubt this is the last time we're gonna see this character.
Well, especially with
no,
that
no.
rumor of a possible Reva spinoff or some kind of spinoff based around the show.
I'd be down
She's
for it.
absolutely coming back, and it's gonna be soon.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't make her
I mean-
such an important aspect of this series and of Obi-Wan's like development. If they were just gonna have her get redeemed and then that's it. Sorry, like.
Well, like we don't even see her after that scene. So like we've said, it could go anywhere. Like she could even like stay on Tatooine for like
She's literally the first Force user to get redeemed and not die.
yes,
Yes.
exactly.
And
And
that's all I wanted. I said if they were gonna redeem her as a character, let her fucking live, because I feel like every single time we get a redemption, they just feel like they have to kill off that character, and it's gotten old.
Yeah, I'm
It
getting
has.
sick of it.
It would have felt like a bad look with all the undeserved.
Yeah.
hate she
Yeah,
got.
I mean, if she
Right.
died, my thought process was like, if you were just gonna have the character die, then you should have just done it last episode. Like,
Yeah.
there was no way you could have topped it. So that's why I was like, okay,
Exactly.
she better live. And I'm glad that they went in that direction, because it was so great. And then we got that scene with back on Mustafar, which, can I just say, Mustafar looked so cool
Oh.
here.
Favorite planet.
It's up there for me. And then we get Palpatine showing up. Is it just me, or do you look kind of weird, or is that just Ian McDermott getting older? Like I
I
didn't
think
know how
it's
to.
Ian McDermott getting older, and it definitely
I-
seemed very like Revenge of the not Revenge, very like Return of the Jedi.
Palpatine.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
felt very Return of the Jedi, and I just thought that the hood was a little bit too high up. Like I feel like we saw too
Yeah.
much forehead, and that's why it was
There was
kind
a
of
lot of
throwing me off.
forehead.
Yeah,
Palp's
but I
got a
feel
five
like the
head
rest of
going
it,
on.
literally, I'm
like
not even joking. I literally put my hand up and covered his forehead because the first time I saw it, I was like, "Why do you look like that?" And then I put my hand up, covered his forehead. He looks great if you just cover the big
I
ass
mean, it's
forehead.
Ian McDermott, so he was incredible in this scene. Like he's always great, but
he had more of a Phantom Menace type voice because he was being more of the manipulator there as opposed to like the evil emperor because he was very kind of like
Mhm.
he was trying to act like he was being consoling to
he's
Vader, like,
twisting
oh,
the
I wonder.
knife so much in this
Wait,
scene.
wait.
Oh,
It's like,
I just
absolutely,
realized.
yeah.
Does
he makes you weak.
I just fucking realized Vader doesn't. Before this show, Vader never thought Obi-Wan was dead, right?
No.
No, no, I don't think so.
Oh, shit.
I think,
Oh, because
I th-
Obi-Wan
okay.
walked away from him on.
yeah.
Mustafar, yeah.
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 Okay. No,
Well,
but I know,
Rita
but like I
says,
think in A New Hope, I think. Oh wait, he literally says you should have not come back. And like
yes,
straight up, let's be real. Definitely the reason that they were both cautious, especially Vader. He's like, nah, I ain't doing this shit again. I ain't get my ass beat.
yeah.
And then
Well,
like,
he's
dude, the fucking
It's
moment
like I'm older
when
now.
like and then like the moment when he like when Obi-Wan disappears in A New Hope and he's just stepping on the robes, there's no
Oh
doubt
my
in my
God, yeah.
mind that he's just like, nah, there's no way. This man
Not
this is
again.
gone.
not just do this to me again.
Not again.
It's
What
like I
the
gotta
hell,
make
Master?
sure. I just gotta make sure that he's gone this time.
It's like that bit in Thor Ragnarok where like Loki disappears and
Oh
the
yeah, and he
card.
pokes it with the umbrella.
Loki,
Yeah.
Loki, is that still you?
I love
Yeah,
that
okay.
moment.
I could have okay, I was doing some Mandela effect shit on myself because I thought there was like a line
Yeah.
that I mean he does say like he's alive. I have felt it. And it's like and Tarkin's like, there's no fucking way. It's like,
Yeah.
Surely he must be dead by now.
yeah, surely he must be dead by now. I'm like,
Tarkin's a bitch.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
yes.
You can't
He
trust a
totally
damn
is.
thing that man says. But the biggest lie of the century was Vader saying Obi-Wan means nothing. I'm like, yeah, okay. But then we
yeah,
get,
alright.
for the first time in the show, we hear the Imperial March. And I'm actually kind of glad they waited because it hit so
It
hard
was
at
so
this moment.
good.
Just
Oh,
the
it
pan
totally
out
did.
to the castle. Oh,
Also, really worked for that moment more than it would have in other moments because I feel like people kind of forget the Imperial March isn't Vader's theme.
it's the
Yeah.
Empire's. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Empire's theme.
Yeah, it's like they
Um,
use it for Vader, but it's like it's an extension. Vader is an extension of the Empire in those,
He's not,
so it
he's not
makes
the
sense.
And they
Empire.
play it over that moment of the Emperor just completely overpowering him, not like
Yeah.
in a duel, obviously, but like just
Like
like in his
psychologically.
standing.
Just
And so
showing
like
it's like no matter
Vader
what.
literally gets sat the fuck down,
Yeah.
and then the Imperial March
'Cause
plays.
we-
It's like demeaning to him
We
almost.
see him being the big bad for these Inquisitors the whole show. But then we get to see how Vader is around Palpatine. He just cowers. Because he knows
Mhm.
that, he has
There's
this
always a
grip
bigger
on him.
fish.
Exactly.
I think someone said like if Vader was ever like I mean, obviously we see it in the comics that Vader like there are points where he's like, I'm gonna kill this crusty old bastard. And then Palpatine's like, nah,
You thought
you thought, but like
Oh,
it's
you
just like
thought?
that moment of him yeeting Palpatine down the reactor shaft must
Oh
have
my
been so
God.
gratifying.
Yeah.
Even
more and more
amongst
we
all the
see
pain,
it.
it must have felt so good.
But then we get to Alderaan, and this is
I definitely did not expect Obi-Wan to show up.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
this is
I
where,
thought it was
first
gonna
of
be
all
just
the
on
scenes with Leia and her mom, and then the look that Bale shoots Leia when he sees her with the holster was I love this family so much, man. Like I am so glad that we're getting more like Bale and Breha stuff lately, because we just see like how pivotal they are to Leia's development. It's like, with Breha, it's like, oh, is that a holster? I love it. It's just great. Someone on Twitter pointed out that Luke and Leia's outfits at the end are kind of matching, and I'm just like, oh, they're twinning, and they don't even know it. But then Obi-Wan shows up, and this is where I lost it, guys. This is
where he was truly back as Obi-Wan.
Can I just say, like, for whatever reason, I've noticed this both times, but the shot where Obi-Wan walks off the shuttle and like goes to hug Bail, like the look on his and just the way it was shot, it felt like the prequels. Like I don't
Yeah,
know how
it
to
did.
describe
It
it,
really
did.
but it felt like something that you'd see, like just the way it was framed and everything. Like it just felt like a scene in the prequels. And I just love that this is the first time that these two have seen each other in 10 years, which is just awesome. And then
someone mentioned this is going to be painful, so Jake's going to like it. But there's like that part where like Leia makes him laugh, and then someone was like, "Yeah, if make him laugh was Anakin," and I'm like,
Oh, I saw that. I had to like sit there for a minute.
no.
I saw a
Like,
tweet, and it's like that moment now because of the show. It hurts Leia even more that Ben and her parents died in the same day,
Yep.
back to back.
It just further adds to like her strength though, because like
yeah,
literally Luke was all depressed over losing old Ben, who he met, obviously a couple of times, but it seemed like they were never all that close. And then Leia lost the dude that she looked up to and saved her when she was a child, and her parents and her entire planet. And she's like, it's okay, pretty boy. Don't be sad.
Yeah.
Oh,
literally, the more and more Leia we get, fuck, I wish Yoda trained Leia, because like none of this would happen.
Give us the
There
what
would
if
be no
story.
empire.
Get us the
There
what
would
if
be-
story.
oh my
I
god.
just made a
Empire
TikTok
Strikes
about
Back,
that.
Yeah.
and there would be no
Star
return.
Wars, what if Leia sucker punches the Emperor when she's 22 years old and Star Wars ends?
Yeah.
Please.
Like straight up, she'd be like, "Bitch, you're out," and then she'd go to Exegol, and then she'd be like, "Bitch, you're out." Take down the Sith. And she would just.
But I just love the Bail being like, I don't know how we can repay you, and Obi-Wan just looking at Leia and being like, oh, she has already done that.
She's already done that.
And then there was that line where he says like, "No one must know."
Yeah.
Yes, and now look, and for anyone being pedantic about like it doesn't sound like she knows him in the message that she gives him in A New Hope. Now we know why. She's being careful. She's making sure no one knows about the connection.
Literally, I hadn't even considered that.
My headcanon now is that Obi-Wan just goes back to Alderaan every year for Life Day. Just shows up for the holidays.
That would be sweet.
Sees his adopted daughter. Because I'm sorry, like I'm so sad that this dynamic between the two of them is done. It was so cute, and then the final goodbye scene where he's telling Leia about her parents. This is where I started crying, guys. This is holy shit. Like they've been building up to this one, and I don't even know how to talk about it. It's
I replied to Norhal who did a tweet who from the Geeky Waffle, she did a tweet like talking about how like lovely that scene was, and I responded with it warmed my heart and stimulated my tear ducts. It was like the whole scene is just, it's very moving, and it's like you said, Andrew, that was the point where the tears just started flowing, like especially when they brought out Leia's theme, because like that's one of my favorite Star Wars themes.
When Leia's theme started playing, oh my god.
Yeah. Every time I hear that theme, I'm like, I get teary eyed, because it's just such a moving theme, especially after Carrie. It's like, it's just amazing. And to hear Obi-Wan just talk say this lovely speech to Leia where he talks about how, her fortitude and like her kindness are like gifts from her parents. It's just, it's so moving.
The casting of Vivian is just apex. Like she is, we've said it many times, but she is a spitting image of a young Carrie Fisher and a young Leia Organa in every single way. And I kind of wish that they just let, like, if they're going to do future young Leia projects, then they just let the character grow up with Vivian and just have her play the character.
That would be dope. That would be super cool.
Like as a teenager and stuff. Like I just want to see her, because she's Leia to me now. Like she's just as much as Leia as Carrie is. And
Also, that line of when Obi-Wan asks Leia like what he should do next, and she's like, "I think you should get some sleep." You
Oh my
can't convince me that
god.
wasn't meta. Like, I
It's like,
feel
yeah,
like
you need.
I feel like unintentionally the writers were probably calling out the fucking release times. It's like, bro, you guys got to move it up.
Yeah. It's like, oh, will I ever see you again? Possibly if you ever need help from a tired old man. I'm like, oh, this.
I love that he teased her about that. Like that's made my like grievances about like that whole exchange better because like he teased her about it and she smiled
And
like it
then
was so funny. It was great.
the
Yeah.
hug,
And
more tears, and then goodbye, Obi-Wan.
yeah,
I'm like, no.
so deeply moving for sure. And like the will I ever see you again? It's like a perfect mirror of what
Of
Anakin says to
with
Shmi
Shmi.
in the Phantom Menace, and it's like literally the next time both Leia and Anakin see Shmi and Obi-Wan and Shmi respectively, it's just before they're about to die.
No,
It's
sorry, nope. Like I said, he comes back for the
Oh.
holidays. We're not putting
It's
that thought in my
non-negotiable.
mind. It's just I'll write the story. Fuck it.
Honestly, you're making me want to
yeah.
like once we're done with this, get on Microsoft Word and just
we just
start typing it
we
out.
got to start writing out
It's
the
just-
what if story, Chloe. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah. The
should
sequel
just
to
make
like
a
the
list.
holiday special for sure.
What if Star Wars wasn't depressing?
Oh, that's impossible. Sorry. But we go back to Tatooine, and we see, like we mentioned earlier, Obi-Wan's back in the Jedi robes, but this was, which I didn't realize because I have not read the arc, but I saw it side by side, and it's just straight out of the Journals of Ben Kenobi comic run. The goggles, the robes, the backpack, and everything. It
really is.
I love the attention to detail there. It's so great. And then him getting to meet Luke, which led to a moment that I honestly forgot about. I was like, not when I was like, oh, like when I was watching the episode for the first time, it didn't hit me that there hasn't been a hello there yet. And then he says it, and then I rewound it about 15 times.
Hello
Yeah.
there.
Have y'all
was
seen
the
that
moment I
IGN
started
clip
crying.
of all three
All
hello
of
there's
them
playing
Yeah,
together?
I watched
simultaneously?
it.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite clip ever now.
It's like, hello there. If you notice, the beginning of this podcast sounded a bit different because I changed the hello there from the holiday special one to this one because, yeah, it got me. And
Yeah,
I just love
literally.
that he
Just
gets-
before he just before he goes, just before he went up to Luke, it literally crossed my mind. Oh, is he gonna say it? And then he did, and I was just like, wow. It's like-
Did y'all see that he said the thing was trending on
Yeah.
Twitter yesterday?
oh my god, it
did,
was.
yeah.
That's amazing.
And I
That's
love that
absolutely amazing.
I didn't realize until the second watch that he has the little toy ship with him that he wanted to give him in the first
Yeah.
episode.
I also love that, like, when he said hello there, it's like a blend of him and Alec.
Yes.
Yeah.
The perfect
Hello
bridge
there.
between hello
Beautiful.
there. It's great. The smile on Ewan's face when he said it, it's like he's like, I'm about to make loads of like
Yeah.
Star Wars fans lose their minds.
I guarantee you, him with Deborah was like, all right, we got to do like, I got to make sure I get this right. There was probably like 50 takes on just that scene right there.
You just know that he studied Alec Guinness's performance like just so he could get it right, because I know how like dutiful Ewan is towards like replicating Alec Guinness with Star Wars, and it's just it was just such a good bit. And it was a really good use of fan service as well,
Yeah,
because it actually felt natural within the story and not just like a bit that
Forced.
took you out of the story. Yeah, it wasn't forced.
And
it didn't
then-
take you out of the story.
And it also helps that that's the first thing he says to Luke in A New Hope too. So
Yep.
now it's like, oh, hey, remember me? I'm that old guy from 10 years ago that just randomly showed up at the Lars farm for 2 seconds and then.
Also,
left.
y'all see that guy that was like, Luke never met Ben before, but like his line in New Hope is literally, Ben, boy, am I glad to see you. Like,
Yeah, like
are you gonna say that
literally.
to someone
Yeah.
you've never met before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've clearly
Well,
met.
Like, oh,
Right
hey,
there.
random person in the desert. Nice to see you again.
And it's
Yeah.
it's a really nice scene beforehand with Owen and Obi-Wan as well,
Yeah.
because we get to see Owen just soften a tiny bit
just
to
a little
Obi-Wan,
bit. It's like, you
where
wanna meet
Obi-Wan
him?
relaxes. Yeah, because Obi-Wan
That was
relaxes
great.
his need to train Luke. He basically
Now-
says, no, this needs to be a boy.
Baru
He
was
just
probably staring him down like a motherfucker. Like,
it's like, you be nice to the
like,
Jedi. You be
you-
nice to the
you
to
let
the
him
nice
meet him
Jedi.
after what he did. He gets to say hi to the
I-
kid.
Yeah, he gets to say hi to the
definitely-
kid.
It makes sense why Deborah Chow was like, yeah, I'm really happy that George casted Joel as Owen.
Oh,
That's-
yeah.
It
It's
makes
so-
much more sense now.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
yeah.
awesome.
Sure.
He's
Yeah.
but
And then we get
I didn't. They did this so perfect because we just see him wandering off with the EOP, and then there's a shot in the distance. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then I start to see something. I'm like, wait a minute, hold
I
on
was
a
like,
second.
I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
it's like
And
someone
then
starts to appear, and I'm like,
Qui-Gon, motherfucking Jin, he's back.
Master Qui-Gon.
It's so surreal that this is he showed up in Clone Wars, but this is the first time he's been on screen in 23 years as his character.
Insane.
And I love
it's
his. I love
like
the
no
first-
time has passed at all.
And
Like,
then
he
his
looks exactly the
first
same.
line is,
That's about
I
time.
love that. I
Took
know.
you
I
long
love
enough.
that the first thing. Yeah, that's his first line to
Sassy
Obi-Wan after all that
Qui-Gon.
time.
and then
Yeah.
I loved it.
I was always here. You weren't ready to see. And it's
Oh,
like,
I love that
is
line.
So Obi-Wan
It's just a
finally got his
wonderful
inner
distillation
peace,
of his arc.
and he can see
Yeah.
Qui-Gon. It's like, oh, come on. There's
Exactly.
a long journey ahead. And then
We
the...
got
Yeah.
a ways to go.
Yeah, and that's such a layered line because it's like obviously Obi-Wan is now moving into like the hut that we will see in A New Hope, which is I couldn't help but like joke when I watched this with my family. Like when he cleared out his like the sad cave that he'd been living in, I was like, do you think he's
Sad cave.
packed everything, or the Jawas the Jawas have taken everything, and he's just like, I'll just take what's left.
Yeah. The guy from the first episode came back and cleared him out when Obi-Wan was off on...
It's done. Quickly,
Dayu.
get all this stuff. But yeah, the Qui-Gon cameo was so well integrated
I'm
and
so
just like
glad that... I mean,
Liam,
we all knew
I'm
it
a
was
bit
coming.
snobbish about TV.
We all knew it was coming. But, like, they made you think that, like, oh, maybe it won't. And then it
yeah,
did.
toyed
And
with
that's
us
how you
right
write a
from the
good
end.
payoff.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the fact that it
it's-
was the last scene of the season was great. And then it is the ending shot. Again, we talked about the score. The way that Natalie Holt used Obi-Wan's theme throughout this episode, perfect. Like, especially
Oh,
upon
yeah.
rewatch. It's becoming one of my new favorite, like,
Star Wars themes,
music
yeah.
cues and themes in Star Wars. I just love it. And
I
that-
honestly thought Natalie Holt crushed it for
Yeah.
the whole
for the
finale.
finale,
Like,
Yeah.
she killed it.
it says a lot about
The
how good the
last
music
3
was.
episodes,
Yeah.
she went off.
Yeah.
She went off.
Like it says a lot about how good her score was. That like during the Vader Obi-Wan fight, at no point did my brain go, "Oh, no Duel of the Fates, no Battle of the Heroes." I didn't mind because the
I
score
never
was
thought that.
It's like
exactly.
it's
I
like,
never
oh,
thought that either because the
How
score was
else?
so good.
How else are you gonna get a new iconic tracks? Like if
Yes.
you're not gonna create new music.
Exactly.
And
And
then-
she integrated classic Star Wars tracks perfectly. She put the asteroid chase in.
Oh,
she
that
put
was so
in.
good at the beginning.
Well, it's not the asteroid chase.
The
Sorry, it's
hyperdrive.
it's the chase at the
Yeah, the
end. It's the
hyperspace
hyperdrive
theme. Yeah.
chase at the end of Empire, and then Leia's theme, the Imperial March, and just like you said, the way she's used Obi-Wan's
Obi-Wan's
theme
theme.
is
Yeah.
just fantastic.
And I just
Absolutely.
you'll say this, it's like, oh, what is Star Wars like without John Williams? Well, it's like, well, we've had so far the Mando, Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan theme have all kind of become iconic already. So I think we're in good hands. And then the episode that's it. I can't believe the show's over. I'm actually kind of sad that the whole series is
I
Yeah,
am
me
over.
too.
Because
I am like, I've got my fingers crossed for like a season 2 or a spin-off or
Well,
something with
I'm-
Obi-Wan in it.
like everyone's like, oh, this is the last time we'll see you and as Obi-Wan. I have a hard time believing that.
I do too.
Nah,
Because he wants to
think
continue.
He's gonna come back in some way, whether it's a season 2 proper or not. I just think if he's this interested in wanting to come back, they're gonna find something for him. Especially
Oh,
because
yeah.
of how well this show is done viewership wise, they'll find something.
Yeah.
For him.
Oh, for sure. And like there's that quote from Kathleen Kennedy recently where she's like, "Oh, well, we were just going to do a standalone thing, but if the fans want more Kenobi, then
Pretty much saying,
Like-
all right, yeah, Ewan
Just
keeps
make some
showing
noise.
up at Lucasfilm HQ. So
Yeah, like
we
make
just
some
gotta-
noise if you want some more Kenobi stuff, because we'll do it if you want. If you make enough noise, essentially.
there was a tweet that said like, oh, there's been too much Obi-Wan. I'm like, wait, what? Like, first of all, the
Is that
show
a
is
thing?
called Obi-Wan
Oh,
Kenobi.
what?
There was an
And I said-
article in the Guardian newspaper, like over here in the UK, that was like, "Oh, we need less Obi-Wan." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, some
In
people
what
come out of the
And
woodwork.
my response was, and I
Exactly.
quote, as a Ewan expert, let me just say that there is no such thing as too much Ewan McGregor. He could cameo in every single Star Wars project until the day he stops acting, and I wouldn't
I will
complain
second
once.
that. I
And
will
I'm
second that entirely.
Yeah.
There's always like people who come out of the woodwork and are like, "Oh, they shouldn't focus on any like legacy characters," and it always happens every single time that there's any project about like a character like Obi-Wan or Boba Fett, and they talk about how there's no stakes, there's
Give
no
us a break.
peril, and it's like
He
this
hasn't been in the role in 17 years. Like,
exactly, and it's like we'll obviously get into this when we cover the whole series in like more detail, like
Yeah.
in our wrap up episode, but like. Literally, this has been some of the tensest storytelling in all of Star Wars. There's been so many moments of tension, of dread, and it's impressive when you think about like at least 70% of the cast here, or like more like 60%. We know that they're all going to survive. Like, the Larses, Vader, Obi-Wan, Leia, we all know they're going to make it out, okay? And yet the storytelling has been so tense and so like edge of your seat stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
a testament to like how good the
so
writing
tension
and
came from
the performances
the new
and the
characters.
directing.
But it even shows that
Exactly.
like characters that we know are gonna survive, like Luke and Obi-Wan. I was still like, oh, like during the Reva chase scene, I was getting
Exactly.
tensed up. And
Exactly.
yeah, no, I think the show. I mean, I think we've decided that we're gonna do a full series recap next week because I think we have to, because there's just so much to talk about. But it's my favorite the live action project we've had since Disney
Mine
took
too.
over. I
Yeah.
adore this
Same.
series.
I think it
And
might be my favorite thing to come out of the Disney Star Wars era so far. I have to rewatch it a few
I
times,
can't
but
say that yet.
It's
because
absolutely my
Siege,
favorite since Last Jedi.
because Siege of
Yeah.
Mandalore still exists. So when
that's still pretty incredible.
when I do a full series rewatch, I'll try to make my decision, but it's up there. I have not felt this much joy watching a Star Wars project in like live action form in so long. And it's just it's a cathartic moment for me and pretty much everyone else here that grew up as prequel kids, just getting to see these characters again, and then the perfect transition from Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope. It truly is episode 3.5, as we've said a billion times. And
it really is.
it's I have literally no complaints, none. Like, this finale was perfect, and I'm probably gonna watch it again tonight because, yeah, no, it was amazing. But I know we're a little pressed for time, so I think unless anyone has any major things they want to say, that we're gonna wrap things up here and let some of the people that need to go. So does anyone have any last things before we send each other out of here?
Well, to be honest, like overall, just like this was an incredible finale. Like it brought so many aspects of the show together in a satisfying way, and we also had like just probably the best duel in the entire Disney Star Wars era so far, I would say. But yeah, like just amazing finale. I'm both thrilled with the show as a whole and also kind of sad that it's over.
As long as we get more content from some of these other characters, I'll be satisfied. I just don't want to have like a situation where we don't ever see from any of these people again. Because
Yeah,
again,
no.
it's like
I'll be heartbroken. if we
Reva,
don't get-
Roken, Sully, Hajo, Tala. Like, you need more from all of them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, I think that's where we're going to end things off here. We actually didn't go almost 2 hours. I'm shocked. But yeah,
We tried really hard.
we tried really hard this week. Don't worry, that
It's only because I was in the chat like, guys, I gotta go. I
Yeah.
gotta go.
that full series recap though, all hands on deck. Good lord.
Oh, that's gonna be 4.5 hours long. Just you wait.
But Jake, since you
We'll have
gotta,
to take an
Oh my
intermission.
God.
yeah, Jake, since
Yeah.
since you gotta go, I'll let you sign off first, and then you can dip. So, where can the good
Sweet,
people
yeah.
find you?
Yep, so y'all can find me on Twitter, JediJake_. I've spent almost the entirety of the last like 4 weeks screaming about this show, so I don't know what I'm gonna be talking about now that it's over.
Yeah, I think we're all in that
Um,
stage.
I think you're gonna
yeah.
still be talking about the show.
You're right. I'll be talking about all the Black series that I pre-ordered from this show, and every time I get charged for them, I'm just gonna cry. But yeah, again, SWEU server, we're all in there. We're obviously going to be talking about the show more. Fan stories written on the site. Our most recent was written by Don, which was awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it.
All right, have fun doing whatever you gotta do. You're free. Connor, how about you?
People can find me Twitter at DepaBanana. I talk Star Wars and other stuff. You can also find me co-hosting at another podcast I do, the Nerd Academy podcast, specifically our Star Wars show, Knights of the Nerd Republic. We talk Star Wars in all aspects, news, reviews, discussions, interviews.
You're
all
going on
that
there later
stuff.
tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm literally going
You're
on in
pulling
like 3
double
hours.
duty.
Yeah, I'm literally pulling double duty. It's fine. We're fine. And you can also find me, like where Jake said, at sweditor.ig.com. I'm part of the creative team that runs SWEF, Star Wars Editor Fiction. We have a wonderful fan fiction universe of Star Wars stories in the loop with what we have in the pipeline. Again, like Jake said, our most recent story is by Don. It's called Scars of War. It's really good. Go check it out. I have a few, all dealing with one or two legacy characters that some of you might know. I will not say who, but it's not hard to figure out. If you've been paying attention to my Twitter, it's kind of easy to figure out. But
Cryptic.
yeah, I'm cryptic. I have to be because they're not out yet. That's about it. Yeah.
Don, send us home.
Right. So you can find me on Twitter at Donovan Mead. I tweet a lot about Star Wars, occasionally some like political stuff as well. Maybe some Doctor Who and Marvel as well. You can also find me, as Connor said, on the SWE server, and also like the sweditor.com where we've been writing stories and stuff. As both Connor and Jake said, the most recent story is the first one I did. It's Scars of War. I had a lot of fun writing it, and I've been really happy to see all the thanks, dude. It's just been really nice to get all like the feedback from you guys and like everyone else who's read it. So yeah, if you like any of the themes that have been explored in Obi-Wan and other stories like Rogue One maybe, then this would I imagine scratch that itch because it's like it follows two characters who have survived Order 66 and are like trying to like make their way in a post Clone Wars world. But yeah, it's been really fun.
All right, and Chloe, thank you so much for joining us for these recaps. I can't tell you how much it means to me and everyone here that you took the time to come on here and talk Star Wars with us. I sure hope this isn't the last time that we'll be doing
It's been
this.
so much fun. I've had such a good time doing it. I can't even thank you enough for the opportunity.
No problem. So where can they find you if they're not already following you?
So my username is Lightsaber Queen minus the E in lightsaber, and I have the same username on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter.
Perfect. She'll be back, guys. Don't worry.
I will return.
I will make sure of it. And you can follow me on Twitter at Starlight Andrew, tweeting about how I just spent all of my money on Kenobi Legos last night, and I'm still upset about it. You can also find me on TikTok, same username. Try to get me to 400, I think, is my next one. Yeah, I'm posting there pretty much every day. And then also, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at For the Repub Pod and on Instagram at For the Republic Pod. try to get the podcast account to 200 on Twitter before we get to our next episode. That would be awesome. But yeah, so next time you see us, we'll have our main show back. We'll be delving back into Clone Wars. But I think we're going to be doing a Kenobi recap as well. Just talking about the whole series. And like we said, that'll be tremendous fun. So thank you so much for joining us for these weekly Kenobi recaps. These have been so much fun for all of us. I hope you all had a really good time listening to them. We'll be doing these probably for all the shows coming out. We have a lot planned, and we're so glad that we got to do this for you. So until next time, may the Force be with you, always.